Welcome back. We're in the top 10. Nashville Predators in the top 10 teams on the power rankings from 2017 2018 until now. And they've been pretty good. They started out very good. Early on, they were number one a lot. They were number one for 6 weeks during the 2017 2018 season, to the point where I was kind of getting bored of them being at the top, and Preds fans didn't like that I was bored of them being at the top. They were number one 3 times in 2018 2019, and from then on, it's been a descent. What's interesting is I've talked about this, how Nashville just felt like just dropped a little bit every year, and the averages show that. They were 5 on average, 2017 2018. 7.8 the year after, 13.3 the year after, 19.06 the year after. Comes up a bit in 2021 2022 to 15.62, and then last year dropped to 20.23. This year so far, 19.8, so moving in the right direction. And the last power rankings on January 20th, 15th. Their points percentage over this period in time, 600, which is 11th. So again, being 600 over the last 6 seasons in the NHL does not get you in the top 10, because points don't seem to have any meaning anymore. There was a time where you'd go, yeah, they're pretty good, they're 500. Now if you say they're pretty good, they're 500, people are like, 500 is not good. So anyways, this is a team that has gone from being the ultimate underdog in 2016-2017 to being a favorite in 2017-2018, where they didn't get very far. They got to the second round of the playoffs that year, and since then it's just been some frustration, some bright spots here and there, but in general, this is a team that has flirted with being a contender, and I don't know where they're at this point, other than they are a wild card team. They should stay in a wild card spot, even though the expectation this year was for them to fall back a bit. Now, in terms of week to week, their average overall is 13.79, which is 10th. 39 times they've been in the top row, 61 times in the second row, 45 times in the third row, 12 times in the bottom row. So again, not a team that spends a lot of time in the bottom row any given season. So over, that's 7 seasons. Man, I'm getting old. So in the 7th season of power rankings, they've been in the bottom row 12 times. So that's less than twice a year on average. I don't see any reason why they're going to be in the bottom row at this point this year either. So unless they sell at the deadline and go into an absolute tank at that point. Yossi's been their top scorer over this period in time. I had expected Forsberg, but I forget Forsberg missed most of last year. So 469 games played by Josi, 104 goals, 300 assists, 404 points. Roman Yossi's one of the best defensemen over this time period in the National Hockey League. I was always impressed by Yossi's game. Once I started watching every single game, Josi stood out to me a lot. I don't think his game now is as great as it was at that point, but is he still one of the best defensemen in the league? Yes. Does he get underrated at this point? Probably yes. I do think there's a lot of that, because there's a lot of really good defensemen in the NHL. There's a ton of them. So the last playoff appearance for this team was 2022. And really, this is a team trying to make sure they get back into 2024. And UC Saros is going to be a huge part of why they do or don't make it. He's been their top goalie over this time period, a record of 156, 104, and 25, a .917 save percentage. He's been excellent. The way that they took their time, Rene was the starter, Saros the backup, and then they gradually turned it to Saros being the starter was perfect. At some point in time, Askarov's going to get that same treatment. He's going to become the starting goaltender in Nashville. At least that's the vision. Kevin Lankinen's there now as the backup. Lankinen's been a really good backup for them as well. But they really need Saros to be the starter. And they need Saros to put up the kinds of numbers he has in the past. They need his play to remain really, really strong and consistent. It does feel like in the West, while it might be easier to make the playoffs in the West than the East points-wise, he's going to need to be excellent in the second half of the season if they're going to make it. They were one of the teams that was in the mix last year down the stretch. Just didn't seem to want it. You had Nashville, you had Winnipeg, you had Calgary. Eventually, Winnipeg won it almost by default. This year feels like it's going to be different, and Nashville hopefully shows a lot more fight this season than they did last year. It makes it tougher for me covering it night after night too, where I'm like, okay, this team going to grab the bull by the horns, and nope. Is this team going to? Nope. And that was how the West race went last year. Hopefully we don't see that this year at all. But I do think that this team could also use some depth up front on the blue line, because, again, as we get closer to the trade deadline, that's probably where they're going to land. One thing with Barry Trotz is he came into this season clearly with an open mind of, hey, if they make the playoffs, great. If they don't, that's fine too. And he's not shy about trading players if he feels like it's for the best of the team. So they will be a fascinating team to watch at the deadline. If there's a player on this team that he doesn't think he can keep past this year, or he doesn't think he should, I don't think he's going to be shy about pulling the trigger. And we've seen with Nashville too this year, there were some guys they lost from last season. They haven't skipped a beat. Not really. This is a team that has done, I think, better this year than they did last year, and we've got about half a season to go to see if they can keep it up. But I don't see any reason to think that they can't. The lowest they've been on the power rankings board this year is 29th. That's the lowest they've ever been on the power rankings board. I don't see them getting back to that either. So I'd be interested to know your thoughts regarding the Nashville Predators. Is this a team that's going to build itself up to be a contender? Like, being top 10 over this period of time is impressive, but they haven't had that run. Like, this does not include that Stanley Cup final appearance in 2017, which is now coming up on 7 years ago. Do you feel old yet? I know I always do. So for longtime viewers of the channel going, man, I'm starting to feel old. Yep, welcome to the club. We can hang out together. But this is going to be an interesting team to watch at the deadline. They could be dangerous in the playoffs. They won't have any pressure. And if they're a wild card team, they're going to be playing against a team that won their division. Probably in the Pacific, I honestly think it could be any of Vancouver, Vegas, or Edmonton. Edmonton is the one everybody's picking right now because they've won 15 in a row. I get it, but second half of the season, anything could happen. Vegas could still charge. But in the Central, if it's Colorado, whoever they end up against, it's Colorado, Winnipeg, they're going to have more pressure on them than Nashville will. And Nashville plays better as an underdog, I think, than they play as a favorite. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event that you have forgotten to do so. Don't forget to do that because, again, then I know and then I get hurt. But thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.